So Fitch downgrades American debt, and the response from the Biden administration is it's bizarre. No, Joe, it's not bizarre. Quite frankly, it's scary. It's scary, and quite frankly, it's long past due. We should have been downgraded years and years and years ago. We've been on an unsustainable path for a very long time. All right, let's break down the math, shall we? It's worse than what we actually like to get our arms around right now. But let's go back in time first. We'll go back in time. Listen, to hold on to Treasury bills, which is again super safe. Government assets, no risk whatsoever. You go back to 1928, and if you put $100 away, 1928, in Treasury bills, it grew to 2,141 by the end of last year. While medium grade corporate bonds, about 46,000, stocks, $100 would yield you 624,000. Again, super safe assets. However, they are no longer. The Congressional Budget Office updates its long-term budget forecast and says that our debt, the U.S. debt, held by the public will surpass gross domestic product this fiscal year. And the interest on that debt will equal about 3/4 of discretionary non-defense spending. By 2031, it will be as large. Now, let's take Medicare. Let's take Social Security. Interest on all that you have to pay interest on all that, right? Okay, whenever we have a debt ceiling, gotta make good on our debts. Gotta make good on our commitments. Okay, got Medicare, Social Security, and interest, all legally, basically non-negotiable. Military spending, do we really ever do a damn thing about that? Do we ever cut into that at all? Nah. We continue to spend more and more and more. It was actually an interesting line. We make fun of Russia. We call Russia, a gas station with an army. Well, if you take a look at it at our points, we're essentially an insurance company with an army. Think about it. Russia's a gas station with an army. We're an insurance company with an army. Medicare, Social Security, and interest on our debt. Again, I used to make fun of the U.S. automakers. This is prior to them getting bailed out by the Obama administration. They were basically retirement companies that also made cars. Anyway, the CBO's current forecast is BS. It's too optimistic. It basically says that the net interest rate paid on that debt will barely top 3% in coming years. Really? Well, short-term bills and notes are yielding more than 5% today. So let's be a little bit more honest here. Their assumptions are a little bit ridiculous, and there's consequences. 3/4 of treasuries, and I've talked about this before here on the program. We handle our debt. It's kind of like a credit card. We pay off one credit card with another credit card. So 3/4 of treasuries must be rolled over within the next 5 years. Now, if you add just 1 percentage point to the average interest rate, keep every other number unchanged, that would result in, wait for it, $3.5 trillion in additional federal debt by 2033. The government's interest bill alone would be $2 trillion. Now, you want to put that in perspective? Individual income taxes are going to bring in $2.5 trillion this year. Think about that. Interest of $2 trillion. All of the taxes, income taxes we brought in, individual income taxes, $2.5 trillion. So basically all the taxes are going to be used on money for nothing. Interest payments for nothing. This is where we're at. It's, quite frankly, it's not bizarre. It's scary. It's sad. It's our biggest national security threat, and both parties aren't doing a darn thing about it. And I'm going to couple this right now with Social Security and Medicare. Again, you have the two top candidates, and I've mentioned this. They don't want to address the problem. They don't want to even admit that a problem exists. It was from Fox News. Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana was talking about the idea of pushing for entitlement reform. He says, you open yourself up to pot shots. Politically, it is a losing position. This is the type of leadership that you're getting by our fearless leaders in Washington, D.C. There's a massive problem there, and they don't want to do a darn thing about it because of the politics that are involved. Cassidy, the top Republican on the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, was also on a bipartisan working group for a proposal to extend the life of Social Security, which will be insolvent by 2033. Biden made it clear he's not interested in even bipartisan proposals to ensure the sustainability of Social Security. You have a president who's engaged in order to accomplish any of this. And if we have a president, as we do now, who doesn't want to do anything, he makes the right comments. But when you look at his proposals, they're not serious, and there's no reason to do anything. And let's be honest here, okay? Donald Trump leading on the Republicans right now, he doesn't want to do a darn thing either. Doesn't. All right. What could be done? What might our government do? And this might scare some people. Like I said, not bizarre, scary. And I'm going back in time. This is going back to 2010. This is when, obviously, close to the aftermath of the financial crisis. And I posed a question back in 2010 to my listeners and readers of my newsletter. I said, what if foreign entities just stop buying our debt? If we had a bond vigilante type of a situation like they had in some of the Mediterranean countries of Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, Spain, back at that point in time. You had the entire nations right there that their borrowing costs went through the roof. What if China? What if some of these other countries they take away our credit card? Well, I looked into it, and our government has a plan. They have a plan, people. You're not going to like it. No, you're not going to like it, but they have a plan. What was that saying? It was by the bank robbers who, what was it? Willie Sutton? That was his name. They said, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Well, where's the money here in this country right now? Where is the money? Where's our large chunk of change, large chunk of money that government could tinker with rules here and there when it comes to these accounts and change the dynamic and funnel more money to the federal government? And then if you're looking at retirement accounts, you'd be spot on. Yep. Pensions, 401ks, IRAs, you name it, they all fall under ERISA rules. So there's this woman, she's a far left-winger, her name is Teresa Geralducci, and she was proposing this back in 2010, eliminating all the tax breaks for 401ks and replacing them, wait for it, with guaranteed government retirement accounts. Oh, that sounds wonderful. And basically her plan is that all workers would be mandated by law to contribute 2.5% of their income to a government account with a 2.5% employer match. And then Uncle Sam would guarantee a rate of return at 3% above inflation, basically putting together another Ponzi scheme. Yeah. And again, you already, at the time, you had the Treasury and the Labor departments. They were discussing. They set their sights on slowly but surely forcing people to convert their IRAs, their 401ks into these government annuities. And, you had, who is it? Mark Irby, the Deputy Assistant Treasury Secretary at the time, under Barack Obama. The question is how to encourage it and whether the government can and should be helpful in that regard. Yeah. Again, this is their way out. You've got trillions of dollars that are just sitting there. That, believe me, Uncle Sam would love to get his greasy little hands on those accounts. Again, I do think that they need, in order to kick this off, they need, never let a crisis go to waste. They would probably need a major sell-off in the stock market, and talking about the government coming in to save the day, and the stock markets are too volatile and it's bad on retirees, and look at what it's done, and it's only for rich people. And you could kind of see how the entire thing would play out and how they would go about handling it. It's not fantasy. I'm not making this up. This stuff is actually in the works. They're actually considering these things. And hey, government needs more money. Borrowing costs go up. Hey, you know what? Let's force our citizens to buy our debt. Because that's essentially what they'd be doing. They'd be forcing us to lend them our money in the form of government securities. And you know what they'll do in the same sense? They tell us to thank them while they were doing it, while they were confiscating our assets. People, I know it's frightening, but again, this is the reality, and this is, let's be honest here, this is our fault. It's our fault. Let me be honest. I think this whole, everybody's Republican, Democrats. I'm being honest. I'd give my right arm to put Bill Clinton back in the White House. I'd put Bill Clinton back in the White House, put Newt Gingrich back in charge of the House. Let's go back in time. The last time this country was on a intelligent fiscal path was under the Clinton administration. Okay? Sorry, Republicans, wasn't under Bush. Wasn't under Bush, and it wasn't under Trump. Okay? It was under Bill Clinton. Yeah, sure. Did Newt Gingrich and the boys have to drag him kicking, screaming to some things? Abso-freaking-lutely, but it worked. Do we have any semblance of that taking place right here and now? No, I don't think so. Anyway, WatchDog on WallStreet.com.